All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL prop betting video. Going to be breaking down the Chicago Bears versus Philadelphia Eagles game on Friday. Let's go and get into it. So starting out here with the game preview, I'm a little bit shocked at some of the odds that we are getting for this game. So it's about 44 for the over and under, which I don't know. To me, that seems too low. I know the Eagles offense hasn't been like dominating lately, but the Bears defense is still pretty banged up. They might be a little bit healthier in this game, but overall still missing some pieces. And the Bears offense has been pretty potent, I guess is the best way to describe them. Like they are going to score points, I would think. Maybe some drives stall out in the red zone, but overall, that number seems a little bit too low to me. So I don't know if you guys want to bet on the over there. We are getting some okay spots for that. About minus 10, I think would be the best line to bet on the over 44. If you guys want to get there, you can. That being said, the point spread also seemed to me to be a little bit strange. Now, I will say I don't think the Bears have been a little bit lucky with a lot of their wins lately. Don't get me wrong. I think most people would see that if they're watching the games. At the same time, they are still winning the games, right? there is something to that. The fact that this is a 7-point spread is a little bit shocking to me there as well. I don't care to bet on this one as much so as the other one, where I do think this game could end up being a little bit higher scoring, but maybe it's a little bit due to the weather being colder. It's not exactly supposed to be bad out right now as I'm recording this video, but I don't know, to me all those lines were definitely interesting. So guys, let me know in the comment section which one you guys like more. Do you guys like betting on maybe the Bears to cover there at about 7.1 on average, or do you think the game total is a little bit too low? Or am I just crazy with those two? Because I don't know, to me, those seem like pretty good spots. But now we're going to go ahead and get into the top prop bets. And I want to start out here with Jalen Hurts. So again, like this is a weird slate where if you're telling me that the Eagles are going to be 7-point favorites, you would kind of expect Jalen Hurts to end up having a pretty good game. This matchup against the Bears is a pretty good matchup. The Bears have given up the 7th most passing yards to opposing quarterbacks. And so this is seemingly going to be a good matchup here for Jalen Hurts. And so I'm seeing this line. I'm like, okay, the Bears have been a defense we've been attacking for a lot of overs. Should we continue to do that here with Jalen Hurts? Obviously, a similar matchup was the Dallas Cowboys for the over, and he was able to really crush that over. That being said, the Giants have been a good matchup as well. He did not get the over in that game. That being said, that was definitely much more of a Barkley game in that game against the Giants, so we can kind of write that off a little bit. Now, that being said, guys, the average sportsbook line is basically saying it's a 50% chance for him to get over 207.5 passing yards. So kind of an okay bet. We're really not getting a big edge for him, like 51% chance for him to get over 1.5 passing touchdowns, which is okay. And even for his fantasy score, we're not getting a big prop line difference for him there between the two sites, just as an FYI. Now, with this being a 7-point favorite, you would expect it to be a Saquon Barkley type of game, right? Just would make sense. And I would say the lines that we're getting for him are basically correct here as well. Now, if you're going to tell me that they're going to win by 7.5 points, I probably would be more inclined to bet on his over 17.5 rush attempts. Like that to me is a bet that does correlate. That's kind of how they're able to, kind of win against the Packers. I would say same thing against the Lions. And so I think that's a bet that correlates pretty well with Vegas's lines and expectations for that game. And that actually does lead to some pretty good game stacks you can run out with the Bears playing from behind, where it's going to be more of a pass heavy script there for them. So I do like that in game script type of builds. So if you guys want to get to that one, you can. Another issue that I have though is that we don't know exactly who the backup running back is going to be, whether it's going to be Tank Bigsby or Will Shipley. If you guys remember from the Niners game, I kind of mentioned that, with this game being a blowout, I could see Brian Robinson Jr. being able to get his over rush yards, which he was able to do. I want to get to that spot here with the Eagles. We have Bigsby and Will Shipley kind of splitting the work, and so we're not really touching that at all. Now, I will say some of the lines that we're getting here for like Devonta Smith and also AJ Brown to me seem to be a little bit too low. Now, I know that it is typically like a one or the other situation. Last week was the first week in which they both ended up having a good week. That being said, this Bears defense is typically a pretty good matchup, again, assuming they don't get that much more healthy. Now, they're a little bit better against opposing receivers as a whole. They're not giving up all that many receptions. It's mostly touchdowns and air yard or just yards in general. So if you want to get to maybe an over anytime touchdown for either Devonta Smith or AJ Brown, I don't hate that idea. I do like their over receiving yards as well. I kind of like the idea of just betting on them both to end up having a good game. And to me, their lines do seem to be a little bit too low. Again, what I don't like about both of them is the fact that this game is projected, again, to be a blowout, which definitely leads to to a more run-heavy approach, a more clock management type of approach. But yeah, both of their lines honestly seem to me to be a little bit too low. The interesting thing about kind of this game in general is we have a lot of spots where I think it'd be fine like juicing some of the odds for us. Like for AJ Brown, I don't know if we bump it up to even 79.5, I guess I wouldn't hate that. I don't mind the idea of doing that for either of them, where we're betting on one of them to really have a good game. I think that's a good approach to go with in this game. We do see he's been able to get the over 79.5 3 out of the last 5 games. We obviously like that there. And if we go back to Smith, it's the same thing with him, guys. And for him, you could juice it to 69.5 receiving yards. It's the exact same situation here. So definitely some interesting bets there. I don't know if I necessarily need to get to like Dallas Goedert as much so, although it has been a thing where it's basically been 2 out of the 3 are having good games. In some situations, it's been Dallas Goedert. In other situations, it's been Devonta Smith and AJ. Like, it's just 2 out of 3. I don't mind the idea of placing bets based off of 2 out of the 3. That being said, Dallas Goedert has been much more of a kind of hit or miss option this season. And so I do like mostly getting to Brown and Smith. And then the best bet that we are getting here for the Eagles is going to be Jake Elliott to get over 1.5 field goals made. I don't hate that. I wouldn't say it's a lock and load bet by any means, but 52.4% chance to hit. That is the best bet here for the Eagles. Now let's go ahead and jump on into the Chicago Bears. And instantly I want to bring up Kyle Monangai and also DeAndre Swift. So they are kind of in a 50-50 split. We actually saw Kyle Monangai out-snap DeAndre Swift last week. Swift did not have a good game. He ended up fumbling in that game, and that's when Kyle Monangai started to take over. Now, I don't know if that was really like a changing on the guard, but I do think it's going to mean that we are going to see more of a 50-50 split between these two running backs. And so to me, this kind of becomes one of those spots where we could end up juicing this bet as well, where we're betting on Kyle Monangai to be the lead running back in this game. That could end up being wrong. You know, another way to kind of go about attacking that is just to bet on his regular over 35.5 for his rush yard. And then we could go to DeAndre Swift as well, where for him, we would then be betting on his unders. Or you could do the opposite as well. Like, I do think there's a path where it's just DeAndre Swift game or Kyle Monangai, even though they're going to end up having a 50-50 split. I do think the lines on one of them are too low, thus the other one would end up being too high. Could end up being wrong about that, but I do kind of like the idea of juicing one of them a little bit and then betting on the under for the other one. Now, that being said, this should be a game where if it is a 7-point spread, like you would expect DeAndre Swift to be able to get 2 receptions. To me, he's the better pass catcher out of the backfield, although we have seen Kyle Monangai on third downs, which is a little bit strange to me with how he's been used. Now, another kind of interesting spot here is going to be in regards to the receivers. DJ Moore's receiving yards are extremely low here as well, right? Like, this is another spot where you could juice it a little bit, just betting on him to end up having a good game. The thing with Ben Johnson is we don't know how he's necessarily going to attack a matchup, but we do know that when he does choose the best matchup, that player does tend to go off. Now, that's something that we see in hindsight. That's very difficult to predict prior to the game. That being said, I do really like the idea of juicing some of the bets that we were getting. So whether it's DJ Moore or Rome Odunze, I don't mind that. Now, the thing with Rome Odunze is he has been kind of their receiver number 1. I think if we're actually just betting on an over bet for Rome, I probably would go with his over fantasy score or just him to score a touchdown. To me, he does feel like he's kind of due to score a touchdown. That being said, I don't necessarily love the idea of getting to him like over DJ Moore. I think if you think this is going to be a DJ Moore game, you just juice his odds. And then we also do have Luther Burden and kind of an interesting spot here as well. I don't mind the idea of betting on him to get over 2.5 receptions here. It has clearly been DJ Moore and Rome Odunze as the top 2 receivers. The third receiver has fluctuated a decent amount. Now, with the Bears, again, being 7-point dogs, you kind of would expect Burden to be on the field a decent amount. And I bring that up because last week he only played 51% of the snaps. If they're having to run out 11 personnel a little bit more, then Burden becomes much more appealing. Last week, guys, he ended up with 5 targets for 3 receptions on 46 yards. So a pretty good game overall for him. He did add a rush as well. So I don't mind the idea of getting to Luther Burden to just end up having a good game in this game. Again, if they're playing from behind, you would expect them to have to throw the football a bunch. And so I like some of the bets that we were getting for him. And then I do like the idea of getting to Colston Loveland for over 3 for his receptions as well. He ended up with 5 targets last week, 4 receptions for 49 yards, did end up scoring a touchdown. Now, he is still kind of in a 50-50 split there with Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet ended up playing 64% of the snaps, but only had a 39% route share, whereas Colston Loveland had about a 60% route share as well there. We have seen Colston Loveland continue to see 60+% of the snaps since he has in week 7. So basically every game's been over 67%. There were a couple of games where Cole Kmet was banged up where he saw 80%, but I love the floor that we are getting here with Colson Loveland. So this ends up being a pretty solid bet for us here as well. And then another bet where I'm not exactly seeing eye to eye with Vegas is Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams should be able to throw for a bunch of yards in this game, assuming that they are playing from behind. Now, maybe Vegas thinks the weather's not going to be great in this game. It's going to be a time management type of game there for the Eagles where they're just draining the clock. That could end up happening where it just ends up limiting the overall series that the Bears are able to play. I get that. That's fine. I just feel like this line is a little bit too low. And so, I think his rush yards are too low as well at 21.5 as well. Like, he should be able to get one or the other. He is someone that is rushing the football bunch. We do see last week, guys, was not able to get the over against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but had been pretty consistently getting the over there as well. And then, yeah, his passing yards, he basically is consistently getting this over here as well. Again, in a game where they're playing from behind, I do like the idea of him being able to get his over passing yards. That being said, there is one kind of asterisk here. Extremely easy schedule for him over these last 5 games. Baltimore, Cincy, Giants, and Steelers. Those are all defenses that you would try to attack via the passing game. So there is a little bit of that there as well. So we go ahead and get into the bet of the day here for this game, guys. Again, this to me is more of like a game stacking type of game where we're going to be doing some bets here with like the Devonta Smith, where I think we're just increasing the odds on the bet or juicing up the bet, I should say. And then we're doing some correlated bets as well, where if we're betting on Kyle Managa to get over his rush yards, then we can bet on DeAndre Swift to get his under. I do think those bets correlate a decent amount, and this is not going to change the payout. Now, if you guys see it the opposite way, you can do that. If you want to do AJ Brown for over his receiving yards, you can do that there as well. I just think that's the proper way to go about attacking this slate. Now, I did add on Saquon Barkley to go over 17.5 for his rush attempts because I do think that correlates pretty well with the bet slip that I'm presenting to you guys. And then again, I do like Colson Loveland to at least get 3 receptions. Obviously, I'd be more comfortable betting on his over 2.5 so that if he does get to 3 receptions, like what I'm expecting him to get, then he at least hits his over there. So a very interesting game in regards to like bet slips. I think this is a slate where if you are playing on it, you are doing multiple bet slips for the outcomes where you are increasing the odds of, not the odds, you are increasing the payout of the bet to hit with a format like this. That's really the point I'm trying to get at for this game. I just think the bets that we were getting are kind of strange, and I do think juicing a lot of the bets again is the way to go here for this slate. Now that's going to do it for this video, guys. Appreciate you being here. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys would like access to and the tools available at 9to5sports.com, we have a bunch of tools available. Fantasy golf tools, NBA DFS tools, NBA prop tools, NFL DFS tools, NFL prop tools, plus much more. Head on over there. All the tools are available for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Appreciate you guys being here. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.